November 1966. 3 years before the Apollo astronauts made it to the moon, the Orbiter 2 spacecraft situates itself in lunar orbit. It was designed to capture high-resolution images of the surface to assist with the selection of landing sites for the Apollo missions. One image in particular catches the eye of researchers as it shows what appear to be the shadows of several pointed spires.
On November 20th, 1966, the Lunar Orbiter 2, NASA's probe, photographs this area on the moon that was actually in the Sea of Tranquility only 300 kilometers away from where Apollo 11 ended up landing. And what's so bizarre is that this area has undeniable architecture that looks like what you would see from obelisks. There's 8 different spires, and scientists calculated that the largest of these spires would be an obelisk that is 15 stories tall. These do appear to be just like an Egyptian-style obelisk, but what the heck are they doing on the moon?
Of the multiple anomalies on the moon, I think the spires are some of the most fascinating ones because astronomers have calculated that these spires are very tall for them to be exclusively natural occurrences.
They have to be artificial, simply from the fact that the moon has been bombarded in kind of an incessant meteoric rain for 4.5 billion years. There is no way that anything bigger than a basketball can be standing straight up on the lunar surface.
The inference is that NASA would have known this, and that one of the reasons that they sent their mission there was so that the astronauts of the Apollo mission could gain more information about these artificial structures on the moon.
Telcom, go. Jinsei, go. Ecom, go. Surgeon, go. Capcom, we're go for undocking. Roger, Eagle, undock.
On Apollo 11, when the astronauts were descending to the lunar surface, they got this very strange computer alarm.
It's 1202 alarm. 1202 alarm.
The famous 1202 computer alarm, and then basically nobody knew what it was. What it came out to was that the computer itself was overwhelmed with information. Because Buzz Aldrin, the lunar module pilot, had turned on the radars on the lunar lander. It had 2 radars. It had a side-looking radar, and it had a docking radar. So in other words, you had one that pointed down and one that pointed to the side. Now, if there's nothing on the surface of the moon, if there are no artificial structures, if there are no spires sticking 10, 20 stories up into the sky, why would you turn on the side radar? There's no reason to, but Aldrin did it, and I think it's because he knew, and NASA knew, that there was some danger of running into these things.
Is it possible that NASA actually has knowledge of structures on the moon? In 1960, NASA officials commissioned a report from the Brookings Institute to weigh the implications of the discovery of evidence of extraterrestrial life. Due to the findings of the report, researchers believe it was determined before the moon missions to keep any extraterrestrial findings hidden from the public for fear of social unrest.
Since the time of the very first Apollo moon missions, researchers have pored over NASA and Russian photos of the moon, looking for structures. And they found some unusual things. You would think, in fact, that if extraterrestrials are on the moon, or were, that they would have built all kinds of structures. And we're able to see some of these, even though NASA scientists don't acknowledge them as genuine.